welcome to another episode of Linked AfriCast. I am Erin Kaba, and this is my co-host.
I am Abraham Lorik. Happy to be here.
Yes, we are very happy to have this conversation today. So we welcome you to another episode. In our last episode, we discussed the support networks that we could take advantage of in academia and in our professional lives. This conversation, we want to talk about building and maintaining relationships within our career fields and in our academic lives. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. And I feel like last time Abraham talked about the basically student networks, and I feel like I would love for him to kind of stay in that lane and talk about building and maintaining relationships with peers.
Yes, thank you so much, Erin. I believe we all know the value of, last week from our session, as you said, we got to learn why it is so crucial to build these networks and build social relationships wherever you find yourself, be it a student, a professional, or someone transitioning from school into a career. And one of the ways that I think is very effective when you think of maybe building a relationship with peers is using what we call regular check-ins, trying to make sure there isn't too much time left in between when you keep in contact with each other. In a way, communications can get cold, relationships get cold over time. So if you are not in constant communication with the people that are within your network, especially your peers, and engage in conversations that it doesn't necessarily have to be anything formal, mostly just over coffee. It could be even a virtual conversation. It could be just a telephone call, a text message, even a WhatsApp message, anything that you would do to make sure the person is aware of your presence in their life would go a long way to continue to establish that relationship and maintain it for the two of you. That aside, to another thing that I also know is very important, especially when you are building relationships with peers, is to offer help. We know sometimes there are people, especially when you are in relationships with them for a long time and you are friends, there are those who would continue to not seek help from you. But you being their friend, you being their peer, probably they need help in one way or another. It could be a professional help. It could be even something within their personal life that they need someone to talk to. Just offering to listen to them, offering to be there for them would be very, very crucial. Like I said earlier, this again doesn't also have to be something huge. It could be just offering that mutual support that sometimes you get from them, offering to also give the same kind of support to them would be a very good thing to do. Again, one thing that I do with my peers, I have some friends back at Ohio University that I'm still in constant communication with, two of my friends here at Colorado State. What I do with them is just collaborating on projects. I know they have their interest, I have my interest. Okay, we might even be in different fields, but there's nothing wrong with sometimes coming up with an idea of a project that all of you could work on. It could be about a book. It could be maybe just like I and Erin are recording this particular podcast as a project, and we decided to work together. She's in a different field. I'm in a different field, but we get to do this together. And in a way, as peers, it helps us to continue to stay in constant communication and build the relationship that we are talking about. Finally, celebrating people for small milestones. One thing I've come to also realize is that people hardly celebrate themselves for small things they do, but they easily criticize themselves for small mistakes they make, which is so important for you as a friend to always be there, or a peer to always be there to celebrate the small steps that your peers take. Companies may have recognition kind of packages for people. Okay, but you as their peer has to go the extra mile of celebrating things that within their company they were not recognized, or within their school, for example, they were not recognized. That particular idea is so good. Just celebrating with them, cheering them on with their success, goes a long way to make them know you really care about them beyond just being their friend. And that is so good. So these are some things I think we could do to maintain relationships with peers.
I love that. Thank you so much, Abraham. A lot of what you said actually aligns with what I'm going to be discussing in maintaining and building relationships with mentors, coaches, and senior professionals. So the skills and the steps that you presented to maintain those relationships with peers can also be carried over into that realm. So with along the lines of regular check-ins are extremely beneficial when you have a mentor or a coach or you want to connect with a senior professional. For example, I have regular check-ins with certain people at work, and specifically people who are have a higher, I guess, role, and not necessarily a role that I would want to step into, but it's a leadership role nonetheless. So I'll have a biweekly check-in with them. I'll have a quarterly check-in with them just to talk to them, just to get to know what they're dealing with and even getting advice. So for example, I had a regular check-in last week with someone who gave me guidance on what I should do about a situation. And it was just very, very beneficial. Now, I must say that when you do have regular check ins with people, depending on your relationship with them, if the relationship is very formal, so for example, it might be you might have a check in with a CEO of a company, or you
Right.
might have a check in with someone who really is extremely busy, but
Yes.
they gave you maybe like 15, 20, 30 minutes of their time just to talk to you. I suggest that you follow that up with an email thanking them for their time, because a lot of people are busy. And the fact that they gave you that time and you're thanking them, it goes a very long way. You need to show your appreciation.
Yeah.
Um, I also feel like when you have those relationships with the people around you, like mentors, coaches, and senior professionals, your purpose is also to offer value to them. Relationships should not be one sided.
Right.
And
Right.
you should definitely make sure that, when they talk, listen, right?
Mhm.
So you might want to share an article with them that they mentioned something about. For example, you could be like, hey, I saw this article on LinkedIn. I remember you mentioned this in our meeting. I thought you would find this interesting. And it lets them see that you talk to them outside of just wanting something, right? So it makes
Yeah.
them say, oh, they don't just want something, right? They want to provide value to me as well.
And you even think about them even in their absence.
Right.
Yes.
Definitely.
Mhm.
And then another way to build and maintain relationships is to engage with them on certain career platforms like LinkedIn, social media. It definitely goes a long way. And then the last one is attend and support their events.
Mhm.
People who are mentors, coaches, and career professionals, they're going to have events. They're going to have things that they might sponsor. They're going to have things that they promote. Follow them, encourage them, and support what they're doing.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. So I want to transition to the why. Why are we telling you to do all of this? Why is this a necessity for you? Abraham, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, I believe, like we did the last time, we know building relationships is crucial. But in this sense, we want listeners to understand one thing, that the authority or the power that you have in building a community can never be compared to the power you have as an individual. That is why there's a saying that no one succeeds alone. It's hard for you to find somebody who is a hermit and is excessively successful. It's hard to really do most of the things that these successful people have built on their own. We have the term self-made millionaires, but I think somehow it is highly overrated. Every single person who calls themselves self-made today found a way to maybe involve one or two people along the journey. We've seen geniuses in the past like Albert Einstein and co coming up with a lot of theories, a lot of, groundbreaking ideas and all of that. But at the end of the day, they had people around them. Bill Gates didn't get to where he is alone. Neither did Elon Musk get it there alone. None of the great people that you know on earth got to that place alone. So in this particular area, we are trying to say that building a network and building relationships is not something you do once. It's a lifelong necessity. It's something you should keep doing over and over and over. Because you could build a relationship today, and in a month or two, something happens and that relationship doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't mean you don't have to try again. You have to keep trying. One of the most important reasons why building a relationship is a lifelong necessity is the fact that it opens access to opportunities. Opportunities that otherwise would have eluded you as an individual or as someone trying to succeed on your own. It might have eluded you alone, but with the inclusion of other people, they can introduce you to those opportunities. And like Erin rightly mentioned, finding an article on LinkedIn and sending it to somebody, that article could contain an idea that could help them revolutionize their life, revolutionize their academics, just open other doors they wouldn't have been able to do it on their own. And so, in other words, those opportunities they become better when you are working with other people. There's also shared knowledge and insights. Yes, we all know nobody has all the ideas in the world. So if I'm putting together a book and I speak with Erin and I tell her, oh, this is the book I'm writing and this is my idea, Erin could suggest, why don't you add this to it? And that's probably because she's my peer and we are in this network together. I couldn't have just walked outside and met someone and start sharing my book idea with them. It doesn't make sense. So having that kind of, building that kind of relationship helps to open such doors for people. I'll let you add what you have, and maybe I can come in again with one or two things.
Yeah, I I love what you shared, especially when you said that there are no self-made millionaires, right? They always needed somebody along the way. And that brings me to the point that I was going to make is that you never know when you may need someone.
Yes.
So, for example, there was a situation that I had at work. It wasn't a bad situation, but I was working with someone and they had shared something with me, like a resource that they needed. And I remembered that I had a former colleague from probably 7 years prior to that,
Mhm.
that was well versed in what they needed. So because I built the relationship with my former colleague, I maintained that relationship. And I didn't talk to them every single week. I didn't talk to them every single quarter. We really only talked maybe once or twice a year. It's just like, hi, how are you? Or just saying happy birthday on Facebook. But because I still maintained that relationship and I made sure the relationship stayed positive, I was able to circle back to that colleague and connect them with my current colleague. And my current colleague was able to get the information that they needed because it's not always about me, right? It's not always about us. We learn, we make connections. It may not always be about us, but to help others, right? That's what we're all about. We're about helping others as well. So, again, you never know when you may need them. I am of the belief that when we stop learning, we die. You
Yeah.
always need to learn. You'll never know everything about one thing. Life is always changing. You always have to adapt. So there's always someone who knows a little bit more than you or can teach you the things that you need to know. So who knew, for example, I have my master's in education. I've been working in education for a really long time. And who knew that I would need to be well versed in AI? Nobody knew that AI was going to be as big
As big as it is today.
today. And
Yeah.
especially those of us who are a little older,
Mm.
learning AI and the principles of AI and what AI can do, you definitely cannot have a fixed mindset. Like you can't have a fixed mindset. And so if you want to be successful. So even though at first I hated AI and I didn't like it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why do we have to use this? Why is this a thing? Now, I've aligned myself with people who know how to use it. I take some time and learn how to
Yeah.
use it myself to my advantage. And now I definitely use it in my personal life and in my work life because I have a growth mindset. I am always learning. So you maintain and you build those relationships to continue learning from other people.
Mm.
And the last point I wanted to make, and I feel like Abraham talked about this, it's opening doors. A lot of times you can know like 10 times more than somebody in a room, but because they know a person,
Mhm.
because they have
They get ahead.
the person and a relationship with the person, they might have an opportunity that, yes, you may be prepared for, you may have all the qualifications for, but because they have access to that person,
Mhm.
they have like the upper hand. So it's who you know. Unfortunately, I wish, it wasn't like that. We could all have like, an even playing field. We, you know, use our resumes and that's the only thing they look at. But no, a lot of times it's who you know. They're going to choose someone that they are connected with. They're going to choose someone who they have a relationship a lot of time with. And, that's another reason why you need to maintain these positive connections. So
Yeah, it's funny how you spoke about the AI stuff. I thought I was alone in that circle, but it's nice to know I wasn't the only one who was initially a bit skeptical about getting into it fully. But like you said, it's been a good journey, especially learning with other people who we are in network with. I have friends who are also very good in IT. They knew I am the kind of guy who would come up with big ideas, but really to build it. I am the what kind of a person and why we should do this. But always you need a how person, someone who can really build it. And like you said, in my network, I have people like that who can help do it. And that is one of the reasons why networking is so important. And you made mention of, being there for people and helping others being one of the major reasons why networking is so crucial. In this modern era, like you said, in the changing world, we can't underestimate the power of networking. That is why in business, they say your network is your net worth. Yes, the number of people that are within your network and the quality of those people within your network, you cannot underestimate it. It's so crucial that you build a good number of people that you can be in constant communication with, and also the quality of those people also counts. So it's not just about having people in your network, because like they say, you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So if you
yeah.
spend the most time with five wise people, obviously we know where that road leads. So last time I had this meeting with some students from high schools around the Colorado State. They came to the university here for one of those pre-collegiate programs. And in my communication, I was telling them that it is strange why rich people would want to spend more time with rich people. Have you ever asked yourself why? It is because they know the more we spend time with each other, we get to learn the ideas and the strategies each of us used so we can build a bigger network for ourselves. And that is what this is all about. In our friend networks, one of the things that we all strive to do is to build trust and respect. And through that, it builds credibility for us. So they can easily refer us to somebody when it comes to doing business. They can say, oh, I know Erin. She's good at what she does. And that's probably because maybe I haven't even seen you doing your work before, but I know you as a person and I know you are credible in your personal life. So somehow in my mind, I can translate that to your work as well. And it's easy for me to recommend you. And that is what networks is all about. So we are not overstretching this, but we are saying networking is so crucial and it shouldn't be something you do once. It should be a lifelong learning activity.
It should definitely be a lifelong learning activity because just to kind of touch on what you said about who you have around you, you become who like the people who you're around mostly. So if you're around people who aren't doing anything, they're going to hold you back.
Yeah.
You're around people who are not being successful or taking the steps to be successful, and they might be focused on education and you're trying to further your education, that's fine. But if you have people around you who are stagnant and people who are around you who aren't striving to be better, you're going to find it difficult to maintain successful relationships with them and do the things that you're supposed to do because you're going to be stagnant with them. So while it's okay to have people in your circle that may not be striving for success,
Mhm.
you need to have other people in your circle who are striving for success and who are in the area, who are where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
So they can help you. I had a thought, somebody listening might be like, where do I start? Like, where do I start networking? Where can I find the people who I want to reach out to? A lot of times you can do social media, but I will say, depending on where you're listening from, whether you're in the United States, whether you're in the UK, there are websites online that will connect you to people. So, for example, in the United States, we have a site called Meetup. It's like an app. And then there's a website called Eventbrite. And those two, I have personally utilized those two websites to find networking events. There are so many events that you can find in your area and people who are doing the things that you want to do. So I suggest going online, and also your local library, if you're in the United States, and even certain places in the UK, like your local library also has events. Now, Abraham, I don't know if there are organizations or sites that you could recommend for those on the continent. I know the World Wide Web is worldwide. So if you can find something online and attend virtually, you can do that too. So, but where you start in your community,
Mhm.
start just having those conversations and start online.
That is so true.
Yes. So, do you have any more for us, Abraham?
Yeah, my final words would be just to reiterate the benefits of, surrounding yourself with a network of supportive people, a network of people who share your principles, and a network of people who are heading the way you are heading. There's this study that was conducted by Dr. David McCollin of Harvard University. He conducted the study over a period of 20 years, basically trying to identify why some people succeeded greatly and others didn't. And in his study, he associated 95% of people's success to what he called your reference group. That's what he found. His findings proved that 95%, even to 99% of our success is often associated to our reference group. In other words, the people we spend the most time with. And the most amazing part of his study was that when you change a person's reference group, the way they think change. The reason I ended with the way they think change is the fact that we know majority of success is psychological more than just action.
Mhm.
Yes. As you think, you are able to become who you are. And that is one topic that almost all philosophers and great, people of the past and present agree on. They may disagree on marriage, they may disagree on, religion, gender, whatever. But one thing they never disagree on, or they all unanimously agree, is the fact that mindset is so important in success. And if you surround yourself with people who are negative, like Erin said, it is hard for you to really make progress. So in a way, we are saying networking is good, but be careful who you bring into your network.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. Thank you. So we are Linked AfriCast. We are an extension of Linked Africa, where we empower Africans through connection, learning, and mentorship. If you want to know more about Linked Africa, look at the show notes. So we thank you for listening again, and we will see you next time.